with Jesus. I want to look at a psalm today with you. It's Psalm 139, and within this psalm, there is this reality that God is present everywhere and knows everything. Listen to these words. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit, you know when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out, my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before the word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before. You lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light will become night around me, even the darkness will not be too dark for you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. There is indeed this thought in this passage that we cannot escape God's presence. It is a reality. But another reality is we can easily overlook God's presence. C.S. Lewis writes, we may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere, incognito. The issue often becomes the busyness in which our society operates. There's always something to do. Even when we're sitting around, we occupy our time. Just watch yourself. Watch your family. I catch myself sitting down to watch TV with a laptop. So much to do. The same mode of operation can keep us from recognizing the presence of God. We're just too busy to recognize him in our day. Or I've been thinking about this thought. Can we form up habits that bring God into the busyness of our life? In other words, can God be that laptop that I've carried with me to the sofa? So while I'm watching TV, it's not my laptop, it's God. So a good question for us who are seeking to get personal with Jesus is simply this. How can we more purposefully recognize and thereby experience the presence of God? What are things that can be triggers, if you will? What is something that you do often that will allow you to be reminded that God is present with you today? It could be something very simple, something like getting in your car to go to work. Ah, God is present with me. Or waking up, especially for those who take a long time to wake up, who kind of lay around and kind of start to stir and they're awake but not awake. What a great time to recognize that God is with you as you start your day. Maybe it's as simple as when you're doing the dishes, something that's not particularly fun, at least I don't think for most of us, but we could recognize God's presence in a moment like that. Or when we're taking walks, when we enter our workplace. Oh, what a great time to be reminded God is with me today. A mealtime, God is with us. But another time that I'd like to actually talk about a little bit is along the same idea. But what about whenever uh, what are what are other things, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that can trigger us to be reminded that God is present? For instance, what about just before a human interaction, if we would remind ourselves to pray, let me be a listener, God, in this conversation? Or when an interruption to your current activity happens, simply pray, Lord, here I am. Because who knows, God may have brought that interruption to you. And let me just say this, I particularly do not like interruptions, but I have learned over the years as I've practiced the means of saying, Lord, here I am in an interruption. I've learned this. Many times the interruptions are God moments waiting to happen. So I encourage you to embrace those interruptions and recognize God's presence in them. Realizing that God is always present can help us get personal with Jesus. Building up habits that help us turn our attention to Him are a great way to get personal with Jesus. So until next week, pick some routine habits that you have and add to that, maybe not habits, routine happenings, I should say, in your day, and let them be a trigger for you to say, hey, God is right here with me. And then just have a conversation with Him. Talk to Him about your day, about your life, about whatever's on your heart, and allow the Spirit of God to dwell with you. Until next week, continue to get personal with Jesus and recognize He is always with you.